You're watching ThoughtCast. I'm Jenny Attia, and I'm investigating this vast Ponzi scheme known as the U.S. financial system. It's been found out, I'm afraid, and all that's left for us is a cesspool of toxic waste. But maybe Jim Poterba can help us here. He's the Mitsui Professor of Economics at MIT, and with a title like that, I have high hopes for him. Jim Poterba, welcome to ThoughtCast.
Pleasure to be with you.
Did you anticipate at all this economic downturn? Did you see it coming?
I'll be honest. I mean, I was not particularly focused on the events in the broader financial markets during the relevant time period. So I would say I was a sideline player. I wasn't either worried or calming the concerns at that point. But I think people were identifying the fact that it was aggressive mortgage lending and that some of the mortgage products that were being created at this time were ones that only made a lot of sense for their borrowers if you were in a rising house price market. I think that the failure was the systemic failure to recognize that we could go through a period when house prices would not just stabilize but actually decline, and a failure of many people to think hard about what would happen to these kinds of financial products, what would happen to these mortgages, what would happen to these borrowers in the event that we experienced a period of protracted house price decline. And of course, that's what we're going through now.
What do you think went wrong with the philosophy or the psychology behind our financial system? What kind of assumptions got us into this mess?
I think the single biggest failure in philosophy probably was a confidence in the institutions that were initiating loans and mortgages to self-police the quality of what they were producing.
Something tells me you think this is just a severe correction that we're going through, not the end of an era, the end of capitalism as we know it.
I'd be very surprised if this is anything that would seem like the end of capitalism. I think it surely is the end of an era when we had a great deal of confidence in the unfettered market system. To be honest, I worry that we may overshoot and go too far in the direction of a set of regulations which, and without knowing what they might be, might in fact hinder the kind of innovative activity and entrepreneurial activity which the U.S. has really been such a global leader in. But I think there is going to be a lot more skepticism about the way an unregulated market operates, and that we'll be seeing more trade-offs in terms of thinking about regulations and what their consequences might be.
Is there any upside to this? Any silver lining?
There's the great economist Joseph Schumpeter, who was an Austrian economist who migrated to Harvard during the 1930s, coined the phrase creative destruction. And creative destruction was the notion that in every downturn, part of what you do is you excise the weaker parts of an economy, some firms go bankrupt, the healthier firms survive, that the innovations that firms and individuals are forced to discover in the process of making it through a period of tough economic times can often turn out to be the springboards to really substantial achievements and great new industries or great new ideas as you come out of the downturn. I suspect that there will be an important level of creative destruction taking place in even this downturn. I think people get a lot more creative when they're in tough economic times, and it's just that kind of creativity which I suspect will in some ways come out and be beneficial.
Jim Poterba, thanks very much for your time. You've been watching ThoughtCast. I'm Jenny Attia. Please leave us a comment at www.thoughtcast.org. Thanks for joining us.